Well, so welcome everybody. I want to offer an official good morning from snowy Denver, and a welcome from the American Indian College Fund. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and get started. If you don't know me, my name is Heidi Normandin. I am the Senior Program Officer for Faculty Development at the College Fund. And so this is an official welcome to workshop number 3 of our AI fall professional development, fall winter professional development series just for you as tribal college faculty. And today we're going to build on what we learned in workshop number 1, which is a wonderful overview about the basics and the history and the different tools for AI. We're also going to build on what we learned from Randy Perkins, who is in the room with us today, what he taught us in workshop number 2 last month about using prompts. And this workshop, the title is The Firekeeper's Notebook, The Beginning Path to Teaching with AI. And what we're going to learn today is we're going to get an introduction to Notebook LM, which is an AI tool that helps you organize and transform your teaching materials into meaningful, culturally grounded lessons in minutes and not months. And we're also going to cover 2 other free AI resources, and you'll walk away with so many things. You'll walk away with prompts, guides, a workflow, and tools to evaluate cultural relevance. So Karen is going to deliver today. So I want to first thank the Henry Luce Foundation. That is the foundation that provides funding for this professional development workshop series, as well as our annual convening. And they have been supporting us for, I think, going on 8 years now. And they so believe in the work that you all are doing as faculty members that they are happy to give us renewed funding every couple of years. So thank you to them. So again, if you're just joining us, please introduce yourself in the chat. And when you do that, we're getting a handy dandy visual of who is in the room and where we're all located. I think this is really cool. And those people in France, I would like to be there. Okay, so anyway, quick background on this series. We at the College Fund are trying to be very responsive to faculty. What are your professional development needs? Your areas of interest? What are you struggling with? What are your challenges? What do you want to learn more about? And we get support from our Faculty Advisory Council, of which Karen is a member, as well as through listening to you on one-on-one conversations. We do a survey every 2 years. We also have an annual faculty convening and other evaluations and other ways. We really try to keep our ear to the ground and be responsive to your needs. This AI workshop series is a response to that. So we're happy to offer this and support you in any way that we can. So throughout today's conversation, we have about 85 minutes left. I'm going to turn it over to Karen shortly. The outline of our session today is that Karen is going to guide us through a presentation as well as an exercise. We're going to be doing an activity. Throughout, please ask your questions in the chat. We are going to be stopping throughout to answer those questions. And I heard from a little birdie that there might be prizes. So Karen's going to talk more about that. So you definitely want to stick to the end. I mean, you want to do that anyway, but there's an extra incentive to do that. So everybody, please go ahead and introduce yourself. If you're just joining us, introduce yourself in the chat. And so speaking of Karen, I want to introduce our speaker for today. So Karen Colbert, if you haven't heard of her, she's a general education chair and lead math faculty member at Keweenaw. My mouth doesn't work today. Keweenaw Ojibwa Community College, which is in Northern Michigan. And maybe even more exciting, Karen is an AI educator, a data scientist, an award-winning speaker, and as I mentioned before, a member of our Faculty Advisory Council. Her work focuses on culturally grounded ethical integration of AI in education to expand faculty members' capacity without overwhelming them or diminishing our mission-driven values. She has been recognized internationally, including receiving the 2025 Legendary Women of Impact Award in Paris. And she's also shared her expertise on many platforms, including the University of Pittsburgh's Explainable AI podcast And in 2024, she was a plenary speaker at Stanford University's Association for the Advancement of AI Spring Symposium. So she has been spreading her message far and wide. She was recently selected to give a TEDx talk, everybody. That is so exciting. And her TEDx talk will focus on how to share. She will share how Indigenous frameworks can reshape the future of STEM and AI. So I think there's no question that she is the right person for this workshop. And so I'm happy to turn it over to Karen and welcome everybody and welcome Karen.
Bonjour, everyone. Thank you so much for that welcome, Heidi. Bonjour, Karen Indigenikaz, Special Gichigoming, um, Niminwenda Mioma. I am so honored to greet you all this morning. And again, like Heidi said, I'm excited that we have an international faculty platform. I'm so honored that you would spend your morning or afternoon or whatever time that it is here. I'm so honored that you're here. So I want to honor everyone's time and get started. So this is one platform that I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using several. So if you have questions about what are you doing, what software are you using to do that, I'm happy to answer that. I am also going to be very transparent about what tools I'm using that are free, freemium, and which ones are paid. So when I was thinking about putting together this workshop, which I've been really pondering, because I want to teach you all the things, right? I mean, I'm so excited to be able to share all the things that I've learned, but more importantly, in the year 2026, I mean, I started this work, building this notebook as of a sorts in 2025, but in the year 2026, we have no short of resources. I think if nothing else, we have more resources than we've ever had before, but we don't actually have a system to use those resources. And so when I thought about what would be the most important thing, if I could only be with you one time this year because everybody is busy and doing all the things, this is probably the most important thing that I've gathered in my walk as a faculty. And so I titled it the Express Edition because I have learned in my many years of research that you really need to get really, really good at one thing. And once you're really good at that one thing, all of the other systems kind of align for you. So my goal is not to overwhelm you with everything that is possible, but my goal is to give you practical tools. And with most of us having our semester coming up, I would hope that after this workshop, your first day of your semester should be nice, polished, and ready to go so that you can show up the exact way that you want to. So this is how I want to start, actually. I'm going to share something.
Oh no! I overslept! I'm gonna be late! Why is everyone so slow? Where do I even start?
So hopefully you could hear that. But this was me. Um, so that is me. That is one of my personas. Part of my dissertation research, actually, a lot of it leaned on creating personas. And one of the things I'm going to talk to you about is as tribal college educators and people that work in institutions whose mission statement is to align with the values and um, cultural teachings, we need to make sure we're paying attention to who we're serving. And one of those ways you do that is by studying personas. So, in a lot of the tools that I'm going to be sharing with you today, they're going to be very specific to the personas of the people that I work with or myself. But this is me. And I would hope that at least one person in this room identified with some of the things that she was going through, right? She's overworked, overwhelmed, trying to do all the things. She's running late. There's papers. She's trying to drive. She's wondering why everybody's in her way. And then the last part of it was, I don't even know where to start. And that can seem very daunting because I feel like I have lots of resources. I mean, there's Google, there's Chat, there's Perplexity, there's Claude, there's YouTube, there's Instagram, there's TikTok, right? There's information all over the place. And I would dare say that it's not unusual or uncommon for any one of us on any given day to feel like you are overwhelmed with the amount of information, not only that is coming at you, but that you're expected to drill down and to share with others. So our responsibility as educators is not to just give students this kind of brain dump of information, but our responsibility is to adapt that in a way that's going to honor their needs and most importantly, align with the mission of our institutions. So we're the leaders in that, right? We're the front line that gets to decide what is important, and we're going to help to vet that for our students. My goal here is, first of all, I'm not promising that I'm going to tell you anything that you can't get from YouTube and Dr. Google, okay? But I am promising that if you'll participate and you'll really lean into some of the things that I'm sharing with you, that something that I tell my students that you can only get from me, that you can't get from the face space and the Instagrams and all the other places, is that you're not going to get my implementation. You're not going to get my execution plan. You're not going to get my accountability partnership and my support, and lastly, that community. That's the most important thing. That's why it's so important that we show up to spaces like these that are created and cultivated for people who work with Indigenous communities, because we are all using a common language. And what I'm going to show you, and a lot of the preface of what my TEDx is about, is that the spaces by default were not designed to adapt to the language that we use, that we all find as common language. And if you use these tools in default mode, if you have not learned how to cultivate the language so that there's no language barrier between you and those tools, you're only going to perpetuate those narratives that our values don't matter, that if it hasn't been vetted by somebody else, it doesn't count as real research or real knowledge. And lastly, that we are not only a people from the past, but we are a people that are fictitious. And that's something that I strongly stand against. Now, Notebook LM. So this is why I have my other screen and move my head out of the way. So I teach math. And one of the things that I do in math is we solve problems. And, solving problems is something that everybody does, whether I give you a problem as a math instructor and you're in my class, or, you give your students a problem. But solving problems is something that we all do as faculty anyway. And so I focus a lot of my work on how to solve what I'm calling high value problems. It's not that we want to get rid of all the problems that AI or technology in the classroom, or that teaching adult reentry learners in the year 2026, or the problems with gainful employment, or the problems with, graduation readiness and all the things. It's not that we want to get rid of those problems. The most important thing is that we want to have solutions for these high value problems. So I want to talk to you specifically about some of the high value problems that I have found that Notebook LM can solve for us that teach at tribal colleges. One of the things is what I'm going to show you how to create today, which is the Firekeeper's Notebook. This is a place where you can cultivate all of your instructional material and all of your sources. When I say sources, I have a lot of ideas that go through my head. And so I sometimes cannot type as fast as I'm thinking. So I actually transcribe a lot of the work that I'm thinking, because I'm driving or I'm listening to somebody teach or I'm reading something and it's like, oh my goodness, this makes sense, and those connections. Well, what do I do with that transcript? Well, it's on a notes app on my phone, or it's in a notebook in my bag, or it's on a sticky note somewhere. So a Firekeeper's Notebook can really be that single source of truth, what I call, the single source of truth that I go back to when I'm looking for that one place that I put everything, that all of a sudden, when it's cultivated and it's curated, it becomes searchable for you. The other issue that it saves is it saves me time. So I'm not going to say this is something that I did with Notebook LM this one time and it was really cool. I'm going to show you how I dig in, and you're going to look over my shoulder at all the work that I've done over the last year. Another issue is that continuity. So I've been teaching the same sort of classes. They have evolved, thankfully. But during COVID, I was asked to teach a certain way. And prior to COVID, we were learning how to engage with students in a way that we've never engaged before. So it was kind of different, it was uncomfortable. And some of it worked and some of it didn't. And I was kind of mentally keeping track. But can you imagine if all of the success that we had? I mean, we went from having several math courses throughout our institution with maybe a handful of students to now we actually had to increase the capacity of our math courses because we had more demand than we had, space. And that's even with me having a, $200,000 lab that we've spent a lot of time putting energy and effort into so that we can support students in person and online. So I know that if that has come because I've been here for, several years, kind of iterating and making improvements every year. What if I'm not here next year? And the next person doesn't know, well, okay, well, what was she doing? Well, how did they do it? Because we know that on default mode, what is happening at our institution now would not just haphazardly happen. It's because of intentional knowledge preservation. And I'm going to show you a part of the system that I use. Um, Culturally relevant. So our institutions are really unique because we are asked to lean into culture. I'm going to show you what I specifically do with my statistics class. I use a work called Indigenous Statistics. It's led by Maggie Walters. She's a published researcher. She's amazing. I have met many people in her network. Those documents are published. She has publications, she has textbooks, she has resources online. She speaks all over the world. So I have her transcriptions from YouTube. So a lot of the things that I have built into my course come directly from those sources. But now that I have a Firekeeper's notebook, I don't have to Google around all over the place. And any of you that were in this space, which many of us were at a certain point not too long ago, a lot of the things that we thought would be commonplace and that would be left on online or on the internet, sometimes you'll go to those internet resources and they're no longer there, whether it's because the funder who was cultivating that source could no longer pay for that space or whatever the reason. So having a space where all of your materials can be kept is really important. I talked a little bit about audio summaries. Sometimes the discussions that you have in your mind are not just passing thoughts. A lot of times you'll have an interaction with a student or you'll have an interaction with, the grading process or you're studying. And those thoughts will be like, you know what? This is another way that you could present this key concept. And so again, I do record a lot of those, but then I transcribe them so that I can keep track of those thoughts. And then lastly, to have multiple measures of not only engaging with my students, but also for keeping information. So you're going to see visuals, you're going to see audio, and you're going to see video in addition to text. All of these are different ways that I engage with the material that I have to learn before I can pass it on to somebody else. Let me go back here. Sorry. I saw something in the chat. I'm sure, Heidi, you're probably watching the chat, right?
Yeah, somebody was asking how you get your head in front
Oh,
of
yes.
the
I can answer all those questions too. Yes, yes, I will answer that. Yeah. So keep remind me to come back to that. Thank you for that question. Okay, so what is a firekeeper's notebook? So I kind of talked about it, in that big, scheme of things, but basically this is the what I'm calling the single source of truth. It's more of a philosophy, again, because if Notebook LM as a tool disappears, I have other places like I have a GitHub repository, I have a Google Drive, I have a thumb drive that I sit. They all have multiple copies of the same documents. And so the important thing is that the sources that you have curated to teach your class all go in that space. You go to a cultural teaching and you're taught how to engage with students who have experienced trauma of any sort, right? You don't want to forget what you were taught. Transcribe it, make a diary of it, whatever it is that you decide, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to keep this knowledge and integrate it into my classroom. There is nothing worse than telling somebody, oh, yeah, we have this file cabinet of 78 documents. Just go pick something and put it in your classroom. Well, how? What do you mean? Just take the first sentence and just use that in my syllabus? What do you mean? So I'm going to actually show you what I do and how I use it to shape my classroom. So Notebook LM is a little unique from other types of language models or AI tools like Perplexity and, I mean, Google has has AI tools in it, Claude, Poe. The reason why we're going to start with a tool like Notebook LM is because we would call it a source grounded partner. So, a source grounded tool means that you would tell this tool what features you want to interact with. And then I'm going to show you how to engage with that tool so that it is giving you only information that is based off of and cited from the documents that you've provided. If any of you have by default, because I work a lot in spaces all over the country, and we use words like tribal, ancestor, cultural, indigenous. And when you are trying to prompt and you're using those words, AI does not know what that is. And when you are trying to do image generation, when you're trying to do assessment tools, it will sound not only culturally inappropriate because it does not know what it's talking about. You have to remember that these tools were created to find the closest match. So it wants to agree with you. It wants to find something that makes sense. And you don't want to fall for the, oh yeah, it makes sense to me. It not only will not make sense, sometimes it's culturally inappropriate, racist, and stereotypical. And that will come a lot in like the default images that it will come up with when you say anything like indigenous or cultural or, some of those words again that like we think they're just normal because that's how we talk, but AI tools do not understand what we mean by that. This matters a lot, especially to us, because, well, in my classroom, I'm going to speak specifically for my classroom. When it gets to that part, when I'm asking you all to engage, you need to, modify it for your demographic. But my classroom of adult learners, reentry students, first generation scholars that for the most part are balancing lifing with family or multi-generational households and other responsibilities in the community. Sometimes it's their second chance at life. And so they are wanting somebody to help them. They are not wanting a tool to tell them that they're always right. They are not wanting a tool that's going to decontextualize what they never had permission to learn in the past. And also, they don't want a tool that's going to just passively give random information, right? That's what's called hallucinations. And I think you've talked about that before. So when you are working with Notebook LM, I'm going to give you some specific prompts. We're going to drop some resources in the chat that I'm going to want you to open up and engage with so that we can show you how you would modify this so that the result that you're getting is exactly in alignment with what you desire to have as the outcome, which is so much better than wasting your time going back and forth. Now, I teach from a very specific framework. So the framework that I developed is called the Four Directions of Student Engagement. This is thankfully a framework that is going to be published this year. Actually, we've been working on this research for quite a while. This framework is going to be published. So if you want to use it as a framework, you are more than welcome to. My framework came from my experience teaching. We had a lot of great success when we were in person. We were learning, or I was learning how to engage differently with my students, how to engage with assessment differently, how to engage with learning materials that kind of extended more than just, I'm going to do a math problem. Now you watch me, and in 3 weeks, I'm going to ask you to do it again, and then I'm going to grade you. It was such a deeper way of engaging with students. And then COVID, where we were taken from being in person in these collaborative communities into this online space. I mean, I remember sending postcards, my kids writing out postcards and mailing them to my students so that they could have an 800 number to call because none of us knew how to get in touch with each other in these online spaces. And a lot of students complained. They were like, I didn't sign up for an online class. This is not comfortable for me. So I was trying to figure out how could I replicate that success that I had, that engagement, that interaction and connection that I had in the classroom. But now, post, not even that, COVID is gone, but, we're in this new era where people are expected to continue on, whether you are remote or in person. And so this framework that I came up with was one way that I could make sure that I ensured that both my in-person and my online students had the same quality of engagement, whether they were in person with me or whether they were online on Zoom and interacting with somebody that was physically in person. And so the four directions for me were the student to the content, which I think for most of us hasn't changed much because as instructors, you're required to give them assignments or prompts or discussion posts or have a textbook or something. So the content for the most part has mostly been there. The student to their peers, sometimes in online spaces that can feel very daunting because everybody is remote and everybody is everywhere. And how do you build that same community with the student and their peers that we could when they were in person? And so that for me was one of the key components that I started to think about, well, what was missing when we had to go online? When we were in person, my students sat at tables, I leaned over them. It was a very different type of experience. And also, they had to be taught how to work in groups through, we would use the clan system and clan teachings. We would have our elders come in and our cultural advisors come in and talk about the clan system. And so that was really important. And we lost that when we went online. And so I thought that's something that I need to pay attention to. I need to get back to that. The student to instructor. So when you're in an online space, if they're not logged in and they don't see your face, it probably makes it really challenging for them to feel connected. So I do make sure that when I'm engaging in my classroom that my students get to hear my voice, they get to see my face. I make lots of recordings. I have so much content that I give my students. I'm going to give you all that opportunity to see what that looks like as well. But I didn't want that student to instructor connection to be lost just because we were in an online modality. And then lastly, not that it's its own direction, but it is something that I make sure to pay attention to. So technically, in my framework, it should be encompassing all of this, the content, their peers, and instructor, but the culture. So even if somebody out there on YouTube University is watching this and they're like, well, I don't teach at a tribal college, we don't have a culture. Everybody has a culture. Everybody has cultural norms and levels of expectation that you have about what you think when somebody experiences a class with you, this is what it should look like. This is what the offer is. When somebody experiences a class with me and they leave my classroom, this is exactly the type of presence and sense of belonging and impact that I want them to have. So it's like when a student takes my math class and then they go somewhere else and then they do something, people are like, oh, did you have you had Karen's class? Yeah, that makes sense, right? Because the culture that I've cultivated in my classroom follows them. So when you prompt, this is just an example, when you prompt the type of language, and some of us, so English is my first language, but some of us English is not. And especially when you're learning to prompt from like broken spoken English or just like we do conversational English, and then you're trying to use prompt language, and then you're trying to translate prompt language into formal documents or informal documents, your tone, the persona that you are talking to and talking about, the audience and your content focus are the most important. So all of the prompts that I am going to give you today will start with that. So I've tried to highlight parts that I think that you may want to modify if that's not your target audience, but I would say just kind of walk with me for a minute and let's just see. The last thing I want to mention is that in general, critical thinking is not just a whatever, okay? We're not using these to replace critical thinking. The responsibility is that this particular single source of truth or the place that you're cultivating your information should not be the one and done. Our job is not just to give people, lists and documents. Our job is to model critical thinking for the students so that they know. I remember one of my favorite documents that I ever made, and I'll show you all how to make one today, was I teach math, and I started the semester with a document called How to Study Math in College. And I thought, nobody's going to want this. My students not only wanted it, they wanted me to print it. Because I think a lot of times we assume that just because you give people a list of resources that they know how to use them in a season that they're in. How do you study when you're overwhelmed? How do you study when you're behind? How do you study when you're tired? How do you study when you work night shift? I mean, a class on that alone, I think, would be really important for all of our students because we tend to have this idea that the model student is a person between the ages of adulthood, which we call 18, up to early 20s, maybe early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, that is hyper focused on just being a student. And I have 6 hours a day to be studious, but you don't. You don't have 6 hours a day to be studious because you're doing all the other things. And so, helping students figure out how to do that, we model it ourselves. So, where do we begin? Well, today we are going to begin by creating our own notebook. So, I'm going to show you how to make your own. If you've already seen it before, then you're one step ahead of everybody else. But for transparency, I'm going to start at the very beginning and then I'm going to show you, I'm going to walk you through a document. So it would be helpful if you have your syllabus. If you don't, that is completely fine. You can still walk through the exercise with me, even if you don't have your syllabus. So it's not a problem. I don't want to make that a problem, but just know that I am going to show you where Notebook LM. I'm going to ask you to put your syllabus in there, and then I'm going to walk you through some prompts. So lastly, the reason why we're doing this, I mean, none of us will be around forever. And the goal is to have a legacy that puts the needs of our students and our communities in the forefront. Using a lot of these tools in their default mode is probably the worst thing that I was ever told to do. When I reached out and I said, I'm confused, I'm overwhelmed, and I need help, I was literally told, well, you have a degree, you could just Google that. And I would argue I could probably say that to each and every one of you. I could show you this, like somebody put in the chat, oh my gosh, how is she doing that? I could say, you could just Google that. And you probably could. And also it would take you a long time to figure it out. So my suggestion is do what you can today to take in some of the things that I'm going to show you and see if it helps you to not only save time and reduce your overwhelm, but also to create a system that makes the most sense for you. So this is the end of this part. I'm going to, in just a second, I'm going to have Heidi drop something in the chat, but I'm going to go back to I want to ask everybody a question. So, how many pages is your syllabus? Is it 1 to 10, 11 to 15, 16 to 20, or is it 20 plus? So, if it's from 1 to 10, put number 1 in the chat. If it is from 11 to 15, put number 2 in the chat. If it is from 16 to 20 pages, put number 3 in the chat. And if it is 21 pages long or more, put number 4 in the chat. And if you don't have a syllabus, if you're an administrator, maybe you have a syllabus, you have a syllabus template. How many pages is your syllabus template? I might be the anomaly. I think my syllabus, I want to say mine was about 19 pages when it was all done. 19, maybe it's probably now that I've added that detailed table at the end, it's probably close to 20. So I'd be the one person all the way there at the end. Okay, so most people have a syllabus that's pretty light between, about 10 page, 1 to 10 pages. And then there's a few of us with 11 to 15 and then the 16 to 20. Do you think that this is true or false for you? My students read and understand everything in the syllabus. Put a 1 in the chat for yes and a 2 in the chat for no. And this is a dichotomous. I'm forcing you. It can't be like, well, sometimes. Like if it is not both, it is a no. Yeah, I mean, we still have people's responses coming in, but look at this. Now, a syllabus is something that our administrators say we are required to have. And prior to this workshop, that was your single source of truth, right? That is the agreement between the classroom, expectations and what the student is supposed to get. They're coming here, they're paying, right? If you want to treat it transactional. I will say this, I don't do contracts for the same reason that your students probably don't read your syllabus or that, they don't read and understand everything in the syllabus. When we are working in the spaces that we're in, think of this contract as this idea that there is mutual distrust. I don't think you're going to do what you say that you're going to do, and I want to know what the consequences are. So you will notice that the framing that I have in a lot of my prompts address that for that very reason. But my point is, we're all required to have a syllabus. The law says we have to hire, learning commission or whoever accredits you says that you have to. And also, nobody's reading it, and it's not helping anybody in the classroom to know what the expectations are. And I would guess that I know I personally spend a lot of time on my syllabus to know that nobody's reading it and it's not helping them understand how to be successful in the class. So Heidi, if you could help me, I'm going to try to do it. But I have a document. It's a Google Doc. Can you put that in the chat for everybody? The link?
Yes.
Okay. So she's going to put this in the
Hold
chat
on.
so everyone will have access to it. I will walk you through it, but I know like you're going to be clicking around and that's fine. What we're going to go into now is a tool called Notebook LM. You can find it at notebooklm.google. If you go to the Googles to find it, it should be one of the first two that come up. And it will look like this. I'm going to say that when you are using this the way that I'm asking you to use it, it is best practice to use this with a personal Gmail. Do not try to use a Gmail account that is, or, an email account that is associated with like a business or an institution. It just makes some of the things that I'm going to show you a little bit more challenging. Okay. So if you have a personal Gmail, that would be ideal. If you don't, it's fine. I'm going to show you. But if for some reason I'm trying to show you something and you're like, hey, I can't do it, it may be because you're using an institutional or a business, one that's associated with a business or an institution account.
Karen, I'm not, is this in the resource pack that you sent?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
I
Tell
can,
me if
oh,
you just
somebody's in there. Let's see. I'm gonna copy the link. I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
No problem.
Just the first, I have it now. Just have them
Oh,
go to the
okay.
first page. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
There we go. There we go. Everybody's in there. Beautiful. Okay. So here's my thing. I don't teach stuff that I don't do. So I'm not just saying I dabbled a little bit with Notebook LM. I I have some notebooks. Okay. Like I got some notebooks. I have notebooks for days. I make notebooks for almost everything that I need to study, anything that I want to remember, any sources. If I'm online and I see an article, I put it in a notebook. I have copies of it in my GitHub repository. I have a copy of it on a folder on my Google Drive. I make sure that I have a copy of that somewhere. If I go and I take notes at a workshop, that information ends up in a notebook. If I'm driving from work and I'm listening to a podcast and an idea comes into my mind and I put the voice note on my phone, rest assured that transcript is going to go into a notebook. And I will tell you why. When you use a notebook, now all of a sudden, if you're like, I went to this one place and I can't remember where it is, you now have a single source of truth that you can go and ask, where is that transcript for? And you can search it and it will find it for you. This is my notebook for my class. I'm teaching statistics, MA 201 2026. This is my notebook. And you'll notice right here, it says there are 80 sources. That is how much information that I have collected all over in order to have enough information to share, not only share with my students, but to be able to have a class that I think is culturally grounded and relevant. Now, this is my notebook because, like I said, I'm showing you all the things. This is me. My notebook has resources for stats, It has problem sets. It has documents on Indigenous data governance from online. It has PDFs, but I'll show you my syllabus. So it even has my syllabus in here. And your syllabus should be that document that kind of says, this is what I'm going to teach. This is why I'm going to teach it. This is what's important. This is how it's going to be cultivated, all the things and how all the learning outcomes align with the program learning outcome, all the things. Everything should be in your syllabus. And if it's not, then maybe after today you'll put it in there and then you'll put it back. The reason why is because I don't want to just do something because it was cool. When I talk about Maggie Walters and Jameson Lopez and Jesse Gray Eagle, he is one of the ones that I studied under because he does indigenous systems thinking. And the way that I put together this system, this 4 directions of student engagement, is directly in alignment with the way that he teaches indigenous systems thinking. His name is Jesse Gray Eagle. He's amazing. His work goes in here, right? Because I want to make sure that I am staying true and in alignment with what I'm saying that I'm offering, but what I'm actually offering. Now, let me show you something cool. You can add sources, okay? So right here where it says add sources, you can add sources. You can add sources from the internet if you want to, send it out to the Googles. I don't do that, but if you want to do that, that's fine. You can upload sources. So right here where it says upload, that's typically when you have documents already somewhere. Like I had some PowerPoint slides. When I first started teaching statistics, my friend Trinice Marshall from Choctaw Nation, she had given me all of these documents that I had to study about statistics. Those are now in here, right? So I uploaded them as PDFs. I took pictures, made them into PDFs and put them here. You can also bring in YouTube videos. My caution is that if you upload something and it gives you the red mark, you may have to go on YouTube and copy the transcript directly. So that's just kind of the caveat. It's not perfect and it's a free resource. So what are we going to add? What can you say? What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make this single source of truth. So I have this document right here called My Practice Document. Here is my practice document. This is for practice. Hi, I'm Karen. Okay. And I'm going to add this document to my notebook. So I'm going to go to share. I want to make sure that anybody can view it. They can. I'm going to say copy the link. And I'm going to put it in my notebook. So I'm going to go right here. Since I'm using a link, I'm going to go here. And I'm going to paste it. And I called it My Practice. And so it's going to use alphabetical order. So right here where it says My Practice Document, that's the document. And if I click on it, right, it says, this is my document. This is practice. I'm Karen. Okay. One of the things that's really cool about Notebook, if you use it this way, is let's say Heidi's like, oh my goodness, Karen, I had this really cool resource from KBOCC. Okay, so here's my school website, KBOCC, and there's this really cool resource. I can copy this into my document and say something like, Heidi said this was cool. Okay, I'm not going back into Notebook LM, but I'm going back into my single source of truth that I'm using. Heidi said this was cool. So then the next time that I go back and I'm using my notebook and I go right here to my practice document or whatever you want to call your single source of truth, like where everything is, it's going to give you this option right here because it's going to show you that, hey, something has been updated in your document and it's not showing up. And so you can actually synchronize your Google Doc. You can synchronize your Google Doc to where it will update everything here in this space. So that's one of the features that I really, really like is that now that I've made a change, right, I'm going to, synchronize here. And then you'll go back here and then it will show you, oh, there's been something updated. You can click here to update it or it's called syncing. It's not going to let me do it now because I've got all these things going on. But it will show you this button here that which was not there before, and you can update it. And then all of a sudden, anything that you have added to that document will now be updated. So this is one way that you can continually update and modify this as a living document, regardless of if you remember exactly where it was, because it's in your one notebook. That's why it's like, this is my one Firekeeper's notebook. And when that shows up, you'll click that button, it will synchronize, and then everything that you have added in this new document will show up in your notebook. And then it will all of a sudden become searchable in your sources. So now it says, I have 81 sources. And then, like I said, when I don't have this toggle on, it will show you that your document needs to be uploaded. So now it does. Okay. So it's click to sync with notebook with Google Drive. Okay, I'm going to click here. It says it was successful, and now everything that I added has now been added to my notebook here. So it says, "Hi, I'm Karen. There's the new website link. Heidi said this was cool." Right? So anything that I add to this document will automatically get added here for as long as you keep these two things connected. I like that feature because okay, so I'm gonna show you this little secret here. If you look right here by my name, it says Pro. So sometimes you're gonna see me doing things because I have the paid feature. But if for some reason you're not on the paid feature and you're like, I can't add any more documents, having a single Google Doc where you add in all of your links, any transcripts, or any other information that you found other places is another way to, in a freemium way, to extend the life or the capacity of your notebook. Okay, so that's just kind of like something that I thought was really cool.
Awesome, Karen. I just wanted to pause. I have two questions.
Okay.
Is this a good time to
Yeah,
pause?
yeah, let's do that before I give you the
Okay,
prompts. Go ahead.
awesome. Good. So one question is, does Google and AI have default access to my proprietary information? What are the mechanisms to protect my information and data?
Yeah, so Google by default does not. So Notebook LM has when you have the pay, now I can't say for the free. So they do say that the free does not, whatever you put inside of Notebook, it's not going to be trained on that model, right? But as far as when you're using your email, AI is integrated into our emails. So, Copilot, your Google, Gmail, AI is already integrated into that. So you would have to look at your privacy policies for depending, I have all the paid features, so I pay for that additional privacy. I can't say for sure what your institutions, or your features are. So if you pay for, like I'm paying for the Pro, then, there are features that you're paying for to opt out of having certain documents trained on the models, if that's what you're asking. But let me know if that didn't answer your question.
Yeah, Ren, if you wanted to ask a follow-up question in the chat while I ask, can you share how much the paid version of Notebook is?
So I have the Pro for Google One. Google I'll just be honest. Google, all the paid features are like $20, $25 a month, $24.99. So I think the Google One, because I use it for transcription. I do the Google One and it's $19.99 a month.
Got it. So this Notebook LM is included as part of that Google One monthly
Yeah,
subscription.
but
Okay.
but you can use Notebook LM for free. You do not have to have Google One.
Okay. Ren, if you have a follow-up question, feel free to ask it in the chat. The second question for you, Karen, is how is this different from Google Drive?
Yeah, it's a great question. So for one thing, Google Drive cannot make videos, reports, quizzes, decks, infographics, graphics, and flashcards. So I'm going to show you. So Google Drive could be used as the holder. Notebook LM is the one that we're going to use. So right now what I'm going to show you is how to create documents for your first day of class. So Google Drive can't do that. Google Drive can hold the information, but it can't create artifacts on your behalf as an instructor. Everything that I'm going to do going forward is I will tell you whether this is student facing or instructor facing. So I will be sharing this from the perspective that you will not be giving your notebook to anybody. I know that there are use cases where people like make notebooks and give them. I'm not going to address that use case today. I'm only going to address the use case where it's your notebook, you're creating artifacts and then sharing your artifacts with your students. Any other questions before I go to the Google Doc with the prompts?
Just the follow-up thank you for the privacy question. She said that they do have a setting to opt out of sharing. I think she's saying Gmail does have a setting to opt out of
Okay.
sharing with AI, but it also disables other resources.
Mhm.
So personal and institutional use should be considered prior to working with LM.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the case with anything. So all of the documents that I have put in here are documents that were either open source, meaning I went to get them from the Googles. They're textbooks that people, that we've been telling students, this is documentation that you are to be using anyway, or resources that have been cultivated. So they're not proprietary. I don't put students' grades, students' names. I don't put student work in my notebook.
Quick
These are
question.
Go ahead.
Quick question. Is the phone app worth using?
Which one?
Earl, are you referring to Notebook?
The notebook app?
Yeah, Notebook app.
I don't use it. I don't use it. I don't. So, yeah, I don't use it. I only use the desktop version. Okay, so let's get into it. So, my Firekeeper's notebook right here. The very first tab, right? This is my persona. Isn't she cute? This was sponsored by the American Indian College Fund. Again, I'm going to show you how to use this so that your voice is the focal point of all of the tools and the resources that you use. So yes, you could connect your Google Drive to this, but I'm going to show you now how to create resources. So this is on this second tab where it says replay and resources. This link is to the Gamma presentation that I showed at the beginning. And then this is kind of the way that I think of culturally grounded framework. So today I am only going to focus on the content, right? The connection to content. So creating content for students. I'm not going to focus on, how students would use it in the classroom. I'm only focusing on how you can create this content to have the highest quality, culturally centered content for students. And then, we can do another workshop later on, well, how would students engage with it and all the things. So first, I'm going to show you how to do a video overview with your syllabus. All of these documents that you are going to make today only need your syllabus. So for most of you, you had a small syllabus. My syllabus is like 22 pages long. So this is the prompt that you are going to use. You copy and paste it. I'm going to show you exactly what parts you should or shouldn't modify. But the first part that I always start with is what is it going to do? So create a student-facing video overview based on all uploaded sources. I'm only using the syllabus, the single source. The purpose of this video is your welcome video. This is your week 1. This is what to be expected in class. This is how to be successful in class. This is how this class works. The video, for me, this is something that I always put because this is a concern that my students have. This is a student-focused video. It should reduce their anxiety. It should prevent any confusion. It should reinforce the expectations in class clearly defined. The tone. You modify this for your target audience. My target audience is first-year community college students, including adult reentry learners who may have had a prior negative experience in math. Now, that is something specific. I have a very detailed prompt about all the things that my students experience because it's important when I'm doing the work that I pay attention to that. My students, some are colorblind, things like that. If those are issues that your students have or your audience, that needs to be in your persona so that when you're prompting, you're not having to go back and go, oh man, somebody was colorblind and I didn't remember to change the hex codes, right? You don't want to wait until there's an issue to be like, oh yeah, I forgot to be mindful. You build the elevators And then if students don't want to use the elevators, that's fine, but you don't stand in front of the elevator and make people justify why they need it. Something else that I put in all prompts. So again, you're going to copy and paste this directly. Do not use academic jargon unless it is something specific in your syllabus. And you want to also avoid language that is overly formal, that sounds intimidating or punitive. Okay, this is a welcome video. This is not this is how to fail. Because I could argue that I'm sure everybody in this workshop right now knows how to fail math. Do I need to spend 20 minutes telling you how to fail? I would not think so. So these are the things that I don't want in my welcome video. The style, the length, and then this is how I want the video to be organized. I want it to be a welcome, talk about how the class works, what's expected, what are the assessments, and all of this information should be information that the Notebook LM can get from my syllabus. So if this information isn't in your syllabus, go ahead and put it in there so that you can use the prompt. Because I'm telling, this prompt is saying, use the information from the syllabus. So now you will copy and paste this prompt, okay, all the way down to the bottom. And then you're going to go to your notebook. Now I'm going to uncheck all of these, and I'm only going to use my syllabus, right? So your syllabus is probably should be the only thing in there. But if it's not, do that. And so now I'm going to show you when I use that prompt, this is the video that it created. And so it is called MA Course Overview. So this is my video. If you're just doing it, I'll show you how to do it. You're going to go right here where it says Video Explainer. And you're not just going to click the button. You're going to click this pencil. And right here where it says, what should the host focus on? You're going to paste in my entire prompt. Edit for what you want to change. So if you're not working with adult reentry learners with math anxiety or who have had negative experiences in math, and if you don't care about punitive language and modify it. You can also pick the style. I did the whiteboard explainer, but you can pick what you want. Okay, it will take some time. So I did this ahead of time. And then here's my welcome video. Your welcome video, you can download, and I usually download everything and put it on YouTube because it's easy. It's like more accessible, but you can do what you want. So this is my video. I'm going to play a couple seconds.
Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Karen Colbert and I'm going to be your instructor for MA 201. I put together this quick explainer just to walk us through the syllabus together. That way you'll get...
Okay. That's not my voice. I mean, I have other tools that I could switch it out from my voice, but it really does a good job of taking the information directly from my syllabus and creating a guide. And it repeats a lot of the material that was directly in my syllabus. So this right here is its interpretation of my 4 directions. I have that in my syllabus about the 4 directions of engagement. I talk about Maggie Walter's Indigenous Statistics. I talk about Jesse Gray Eagle. All of those frameworks end up in the overview in this this video explainer. And for those people that are like, oh, my administration has been telling me I need to have a welcome video. Here you go. A 5-minute welcome video that gives an overview of the syllabus, and you can post it right on your Canvas. So I'm going to pause for a second and say, are there any questions before I show you the next thing? So everything that I show you today is going to be created from your syllabus, and you could put it on your Canvas right now.
So no questions at the moment. Somebody was asking how to find the area to add your prompt, but you showed us by clicking that pencil icon on the button.
Yes.
So I'm just kind of waiting. If anyone else has any questions, you could go ahead and enter them in the chat.
I started with the video first because I figured it's going to take a minute and we can be making our other resources while that's going. I never like the default because I use words like indigenous, cultural, and it always looks very, I'll just say it looks bad. To me, they always look bad. And so I'm giving you prompts that are going to help to kind of rein in what your resources can mirror for you. All right. So the next thing we're going to make, how many of you have ever done a syllabus quiz? Who's done a syllabus quiz?
Yeah, I have a few people waving their hands and
Oh, yeah.
thumbs ups. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Syllabus quiz. Okay. So you can make a syllabus quiz using Notebook LM. I will show you two ways to do it. The first way is an interactive faculty facing version. That means this is going to be a syllabus quiz that will stay in Notebook. You will share it and go through it as a class. This will not be something you will just pass on to your students. Okay. So this is the prompt right below it. Create a low stakes syllabus comprehensive quiz on the uploaded resources. Remember, we're only using the syllabus. So whenever you make these, you're going to copy this prompt. I said I want it to be 5 to 7 questions. If you want yours longer, make it longer, but mine's 5 to 7 questions. It's intended to help students understand the course expectations, the policies, the responsibilities, prevent confusion, rather than trick questions. Now, if you don't like that part, if you like trick questions, take it out. This is what I'm doing. I'm giving you exactly what I use in my class. The format of everything in my quiz will be which statement is supported by the syllabus, because I want to make sure students actually read it, not interpreted what they think it means. I'm also in there is saying avoid interpretation or inference beyond what is stated in the sources. So my syllabus, because it's 20 pages long, it has a lot of resources and sources from Maggie Walters. It has things from our administration about like resources. It also has things that I've cultivated as well. And I don't want my quiz to go outside of those resources. I want it to be grounded in the sources that I've provided. And so you have to say that in your prompt. So again, you want to copy this prompt starting from here where it says create a low stakes syllabus. Copy it all the way down to the bottom where it says the constraints. And then you're going to go here. And it says quiz. Do not click right here where it says quiz. You'll want to click this pencil. When you click the pencil, paste everything that I gave you from that prompt in this space. I left mine to standard default and I put medium difficulty, but you can feel free to customize those however you wish. So this is where you're going to do that. Remember, this is going to be a faculty facing document. And you'll click generate and then it'll, start to create it. So I'm going to show you what mine looks like. Mine is called a syllabus quiz. And guess what? None of you all have read the syllabus, my syllabus. So this is perfect. So we're going to take the syllabus quiz together. Okay. So, Heidi, do you want to take the quiz as my student?
No, but yes, I guess.
You know what? So here's the thing. First of all, none of you are in my class. I teach indigenous statistics. None of you are in my class. I mean, there might be 1 or 2 people here that's actually read my syllabus because I was required to give it to them. But so nobody should know any of these, right? But I think that's kind of the point. So you haven't read my syllabus.
Okay.
Okay. You can ask a friend.
Okay.
Right? You can ask them so you all can help Heidi out.
Okay.
Which statement about the grading breakdown in MA 201 is supported by my syllabus? Is it A? Is it so I'll read them and then you can phone a friend. Is it A? Homework and practice assignments are weighted less than the 2 mid-semester exams. Is it B? Final grades will be rounded up if they are within 1 point of the next letter grade. Is it C? The Indigenous Statistics Data Storytelling presentation is the most heavily weighted assignment. Or is it D? The comprehensive final exam is the single most heavily weighted component of the final grade.
Okay,
Do you want the hint?
Yes.
All right, here's the hint. The hint is look in the syllabus under the assignments and assessments description heading and compare the. So basically go read the syllabus. Okay, so we got some people helping you in the chat.
Yeah. Well, they're not helping me because there's 1B, 1D, and my intuition is saying C, so that is of no help. I'm going to go with my intuition, C.
Okay.
Oh.
Not quite.
Oh,
The
oh.
comprehensive, so yeah, so the way that the prompt works is that it will give a response. The presentation is a significant project weighted at 20%, but the comprehensive final exam is weighted more heavily at 30%. Okay, and then it gives you the right answer, gives you an explanation, right? This is something that you could use as a tool when you're in class together, but this particular portion, this interactive, is not something that you would share with students, not the way that I'm teaching you how to do it. Okay. So this would be very much used in this format where you have your notebook open, sharing it with your students in real time and asking them to respond. So that's one way you could make a syllabus quiz. I will show you another way because I know a lot of people like to give the quiz to the students to, for participation or whatever. If you want to make a static quiz, right, a quiz that the students get, you will paste the similar prompt, right? So this is the next part right here where it says create a low stakes syllabus comprehensive quiz. You're going to scroll all, copy and paste all of this down. Here's the difference. Format and output requirements. Do not present this as an interactive quiz, right? So now I am prompting it not to do all the things that it did with the other one, okay? You're going to copy and paste all of this. And now we're going to put it in a different place. So if you want to make a syllabus quiz that you can give to your students, when you go to Notebook, you're going to go here where it says Reports. You click on reports, and usually one of the first options is the study guide. This is where if you want to create a document that you download and then you give it to students, this is where you would go to create that. So this is under reports, and you'll go here where it says study guide, and you're going to click the pencil. And then in this space here, you're going to paste that entire prompt that I gave you. And then it will create a quiz of a sorts from your syllabus that you can download and give to your students. And I'll show you what that looks like. So syllabus comprehension quiz. So mine is right here. So one of the issues is, when you make the things in here, it's not formatted nicely, right? But when you click here, there's this button and it says copy content with formatting. Okay, so that means you can click that button, paste it into a Word document, or you can even paste it directly onto your Canvas page. So let's say you want to make a Canvas quiz. You can copy and paste this directly into a Canvas quiz. I mean, it's going to be kind of clunky, right? Because this is the question, and then option A is right here, and option B is over here, and then option C. It's clunky, but you can. So if you don't want to give your students your notebook and you want to give your students this document so that they can, use it inside of your Canvas course, or if you want to give it to them as a handout in class, you can copy and paste this. These would be the questions. And then you don't want to give them this part right here. So you would only copy this first half. You can either copy it directly into your Canvas where, one question would be just this part right here. And then in Canvas, you can make multiple choice questions. So you would copy A into the section A. You'd have to copy B into the section B. I mean, it's tedious, but you can do it. The other option is you can just make this into a PDF. You'd copy this. You'd have to open up a Word doc. I don't have Word open. I guess I could open, let me see. Open a blank one. See if it'll let me do it real quick. And then paste. Right, so here is everything. It's not formatted terrible, but you see where like A is right here. So now I'm going to have to hit enter. And then B is right here. I have to hit enter. C is right. I mean, you can do it. See what I'm saying? Like you can do it. And then you would just have to you'd have to do that for question 2, question 3, question 4, and 6. And then you would want to delete all of that before you shared it with your students.
Karen,
Oh, sorry. I have to stop
no.
share. There we go.
Oh, you're good. No, you're good. You're good.
Okay,
So
here we go.
while you're kind of
There.
re-sharing everything. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay.
There. So,
Yeah.
because you click that button that says copy and then with the formatted, it will leave the bolded bold, but it's kind of clunky, right? So you're going to have to, okay, this is A. You have to hit enter. There's B, hit enter. There's C, hit enter. And you might want to put a space between. And then you could print this and give this to your students, or you could make this into a PDF and put it on your Canvas course as an assignment, or make a Canvas quiz and you would copy this as question 1, put it in there, and then you'd have to say, okay, option A is this, one B. So, my point is like it's not just a click and it does it for you. You would have to take care of all the formatting after the fact, but the content is there. So let me pause if there.
Yeah, so that'd be great to pause. So you've just presented 2 different ways to offer quizzes on your syllabus or just any other type of quiz. Going back to the first type of quiz where you had the questions on the screen and you were clicking the answer on our behalf. So someone was just confirming that that first type of quiz, it's not something you give to students. So that was something that you as the instructor would show and manage.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
That interactive feature stays inside Notebook LM.
Okay. And then another question is, I think this is also referring to the first type of quiz. Is there a good partnering app to gather responses in real time, like Mentimeter, when using it in class?
Yes. So a couple of options. So right, Mentimeter is great. I think a lot of people that use features like that, or like what I'm using here, they're not always going to be free. So what I typically do in my class is I use a PowerPoint. We have Live 365, like the Microsoft login, and I create one PowerPoint slide with a question on it, and I have students comment on the slide. And if you have lots of students, it can be kind of tedious, but that's what I do. I would show you, but I didn't ask permission to share those documents, but that's what I do. So you can create a PowerPoint in your shared drive. And, just like I gave you all the link to the Google, you can do the same thing with a PowerPoint slide and put one question on each slide and have students give their responses like that. That's free. Or yes, you can use, Google has, surveys that you can make, a Google survey. You could use Mentimeter. You can use, any of those kinds of tools. I'll just say that not all of those are free. So if budget is an issue, um, then that would be my only concern is that, if you're already paying for other things to add on another feature like that. But Canvas, that would be my suggestion. Create it in Canvas if you're using Canvas or Blackboard or Moodle, and then have the students use that as their source of engagement. It's a great question.
Thank you, Karen. And just someone else said you could format the quiz by pasting it into Gemini and ask the LLM to format it. So that's
You can.
If you have Google One.
Yes, yes, you can. And Gemini, there's a lot you can do for free with Gemini, right? So you could, Claude and Gemini. I would say for formatting, I actually prefer Claude, but yeah, Gemini can do it too. Gemini can do it. I've seen some people even use Canva to make really nice, engaging documents. I personally, it's not free, but I'll just tell you what it is. It's Designer IO. I use that. It does a beautiful job of taking my information and creating it and making the pages look really elegant and highly sophisticated. You could also use Gamma. So I shared Gamma. That was a presentation, but you could also use Gamma to do something like this as well, to make an interactive source. But again, I have the paid version of Gamma. So, you know, I would leave that up to your discretion. Other questions before I show you the next one?
I don't see any coming in. I just want to say that one person says they use standards-based grading and Notebook explained it well.
Perfect. I love it.
And
That's
then,
awesome.
yeah, I think we're caught up on questions.
Okay, great. So, four more things to show you. So, infographics. Anybody that's out there on the Googles, I know you've seen an infographic. You could turn your syllabus into an infographic. And here's one way to do it. I do not suggest that you put your syllabus in the notebook and just click make me an infographic. Me personally, they're always ugly and they look weird. They have like feathers. They just look bad. So I don't do it. Okay. But you can do what you want. I would suggest take a prompt like this, change it to what you want. But again, this is everything you could have for your first day or you're greeting your students for that first week. Copy this prompt, student facing infographic using these resources. It's meant for the first day, early week reference. It's not a replacement for the full syllabus. So I don't want everything out of my syllabus put into a single document. Again, this is my audience. If yours is different, please modify that. And this is the structure. I want it to have 4 sections. I want it to look like this. Copy and paste this entire prompt. And then you'll go into Notebook. Over here in the Studio section. And then you have this option, infographic. Again, I want you to push the pencil. Okay, this is because we want it focused on what we want it to look like and we don't want it guessing. So you're going to click this pencil. You're going to paste in the entire prompt. If you have colors that you would prefer that it have, you can tell it all of those things. I did standard. I usually do standard or concise because detailed, it's a lot of words and sometimes that's where you're going to get into things being misspelled and it's a waste of time, so I would stick to concise or standard, and then depending on how you're going to share it, you can make it a square, a portrait, or a landscape. I left mine landscape. And so you're going to click generate, and then I will show you what my infographic looks like. It says succeed in MA 201, a quick guide. And this is my infographic that I will share with my MA 201 class. So we meet every Monday. We do meet every Monday on Zoom. There are online modules every week. This is the actual breakdown of the percentages. You have what success looks like. This is something that's important to me because, like I said, I don't think any of you all need a lecture on how to fail math. So I don't want to know how to do it. I don't think you need to be taught how to do it. So I'm focused on how to be successful in the class. And then my syllabus does talk about the support and resources. And this is exactly what my syllabus says. We encourage our students to use tutor.com, one-on-one tutoring, go to we have a student success center, right? All of these things came directly from my syllabus, and now they're in this beautiful infographic. The responsibility of the student, the responsibility that I have, right? This is what I am telling them that I will provide as an instructor in this really nice, concise, single image document.
You're getting lots of hearts and smiles.
Yay!
And just to let everybody know, good question. So we have about 7 more minutes for this and then we'll wrap up, but we can stay a little bit longer if anyone has any further questions. So just wanted to give everybody the heads up that we will try to officially wrap up on time, but we can stay over a few minutes if you have any questions.
Okay, I just have 3 more things to show you. Perfect. All right. A slide. Who has ever gone through the syllabus? I know I'm not going to read all 20 pages to my students, but wouldn't it be cool to make a short slide presentation on just your syllabus? And that's something that you could talk about the first 5 minutes of class. Notebook LM can do that for you, and I will show you how. So right here, the slide deck prompting guide, you're going to copy and paste this entire prompt, okay? The welcome, how the class works, what students are responsible for. Okay, these are all these artifacts. I want to see you use them on the first day of class. I think this would be really great to like elevate not just your Canvas, but to help students have multiple touch points than just your 10-page or your 20-page syllabus. So let's copy this entire structure from here all the way down. You're going to go into Notebook. And right here where it says slide deck, again, please don't push the default. We're not on default mode. We're right here. We're going to click that edit button. You're going to paste it right here where it says describe the slide deck you want to create. Paste that in. I did pick the detailed deck. Okay. But now that you have the prompt, you could play with it, right? If you want to do the presenter slide, back and forth, it's up to you. But mine, I did pick the detailed deck. And then you're going to click generate. And then I'm going to show you what mine created. MA201 Success Roadmap. I'll show you exactly what it looks like. Here it is. Welcome to MA201 Introduction to Probability and Statistics. It's got my institution. Oop, it's over here, sorry. Got my institution here, right? This is all the information directly from my syllabus. I do teach in HyFlex format. Here it is. Okay, so now I already have a series of artifacts ready to go for day one, week one. Or if you teach, if you teach online, you could use this for your day one, week one. You can download this and upload it onto your Canvas. You could use this for your day one when you're presenting and introducing yourself. Again, my goal is to give you artifacts you can start your first day of class and be ready to go and have lots of opportunities for students to get their questions answered, especially if a 20-page syllabus is daunting to them, like mine is. I'm going to pause for a second. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I just have 2 more things to show you.
Yeah, so far so good. We're good on questions.
Okay, so make your slide decks. While you're doing that, I'm going to show you the last 2 things. The prompting guide that I would suggest for a really nice welcome email is the blog post. You can use this one of 2 ways. You can have a welcome email and send it like an email, or you can use it as your first announcement to the class. And it looks really, really nice to, have this kind of another reiterated explanation put in another format on your Canvas portal, or again, you can put it in your email template and send it directly to your students the first day or after the first class to kind of say, hey, just some reminders. So this is the prompt. Okay, again, these are all student facing. So they're going to be directed to the student as if you're talking to them. Again, the tone is going to be for people who have had negative previous experiences. That's important because that's part of the persona that I teach to. And it doesn't mean that everybody has had that experience, but it also means, again, this is my way of creating an elevator. If the elevator wasn't helpful for you, that's okay, but it's not hurting you to have it there. So you're going to copy this entire prompt all the way down to the bottom. Again, when you pay attention to some of the things that I exclude, right? No motivational language, no teaching philosophies unless they were grounded in my syllabus. I do have teaching philosophies in my syllabus from Maggie Walters and from Jesse Gray Eagle and Michael Running Wolf. Like I do have them, but if it's outside of that, I don't want Notebook LM or any other language model to just guess because they really don't know what it is that my intentions are. So you're going to copy this. You'll go over here. And this is one of those reports. So you're going to click where it says reports. And if you don't have a blog post option, you could just say create your own. But since most of you should have that as a default, you're going to go right here and click that pencil. And then you would paste it in this portion here. And then you would hit generate. And then I'll show you what mine looks like. Your guide to success, my blog post. Now, again, this is going to be one of those, you're going to want to repurpose this, but I make this into like, that first section. You can make it into like your first announcement. You could, make this a little bit shorter and put it into your first email sequence. This again is another reiteration of the syllabus, but it's another touch point provided to students in a different way. You could also put this into Gamma and make it really pretty in the background. You could put it into Canva or something else to format it. And then my last resource is something that I've started doing every semester. I just felt like students not only appreciated it, I was really surprised at how much they enjoyed it. It's the survival guide. So, student success prompting guide for how to do well in your class. I think we cannot talk about that enough. If you have a specific way that you think that students can study, right? If you want to give them advice and counsel on, how to be prepared for class, how to study, what do I do if I get behind? What do I do if I miss class? What do I do if I'm sick? It's really nice to have a document, kind of like a frequently asked questions, so that students know that you've already thought about that. I know that there's going to come a time somebody's going to be sick, and let's talk about what to do so that they don't have anxiety about, I missed 2 classes, and start having all kinds of thoughts about, what might happen to them. Just address those things up front. So again, you're going to start here at the top, all the way down to the bottom. This really should be aligned with what your syllabus says. So if your syllabus doesn't address any of these things, maybe you can update it or work with Notebook LM and create a document on how to be successful, what to do when life happens, how to reach out so that students don't just disappear. So this one, when you copy all of this, you're going to go to Notebook, to the Studio, to the reports, and then this will be your create your own. So you're going to click here where it says create your own, and then you will paste that. You can call it student success guide, student survival guide, right? What to do when things don't work perfectly, when you're falling behind, when you're sick, when you don't have transportation, when you can't be in person, when you miss a class, when whatever it is, when you lose a document and you meant to turn it in late, what do I do in those cases? How do I reach out? How do I get help? How do I get support? What's going to happen to me? Answer those questions for your students ahead of time so they are so focused on how to be successful than it is on, just how do I make sure the teacher's not mad at me? Does that make sense? Everything that I've tried to share, I want to make sure that as instructors, we're focused on telling students how to be successful, because for the most part, we all know how to not be successful. And I think we need to focus on making sure that they know exactly how to be successful, what we're focused on, so that we can do the first things first. And that's really what the Firekeeper's Notebook is about, is creating a class that leaves a legacy of really what our identity is as tribal colleges. Students can choose to go to any college in the world or not at all. Because, right, you've got YouTube University and all the things. But when you have a cultivated set of resources like these, I would hope that it would make your students say, man, why would I not want to go to an institution that has resources from day one that are centered on everything that they could think of and they could hope for? So, again, I want to honor everyone's time. Miigwech for your time. I'm happy to take questions, but I hope that you learned a lot. And I'm looking forward to hearing some feedback. So miigwech.
Wow, thank you, Karen. So I have a couple of final housekeeping type announcements that I want to make. And I believe you also had a spinning wheel you were going to show. So
I do. Anybody that participated in the chat, you are on
yes,
the spinning wheel. So if you haven't had a chance, put something in the chat if you want your name up there.
I think pretty much everybody has, but there might be a couple of latecomers. If you
Yeah.
didn't introduce yourself in the chat,
Or anything, just anything in the
put
chat.
anything in the chat right now. It'll pull your name. So we're going to give you just another moment here. So I think we're good. So I think you can go ahead
Good.
and
So I'm going to go ahead and do this.
spin the
I
wheel.
will have some so I'm going to do a giveaway. I have a pop-up shop for like productivity tips. And so I've made some things. So this is a puzzle. It's called Your Busyness Does Not Equal Your Worth. So I will be mailing this, and I'll also be sending a digital download to the winner. So if your name is here, please
Yep.
make sure I have your email.
I see the two people who just added their names on the wheel. So it looks like we're up to date. So go ahead and spin the
Here
wheel.
we go. Who's gonna win? So now it's all fair, right? All right, Mike. All right. So I will be in touch with you, Mike, to send you your prizes again. Miigwech, everybody. Thank you so much
Yes.
for your attention. And again, I want to honor everyone's time. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop. But me
Thank
glad.
you so much, Karen. I do have two quick questions for you, and then I do have some closing announcements. So if everyone could sit tight for maybe 2 to 3 more minutes, would really appreciate that. One question is, in the prompts, why are some of the words in bold print?
Okay, so the bold print are if that's what you want to change. So mine are specific to my audience, but maybe you want to use it for some other use case. That would be the things that I would say pay attention to that and modify that to your particular use case.
Okay. Another question, a couple people, how do you get your face in front of your slides?
So that's a Zoom Pro feature. So in Zoom Pro, when you go to share, there will be four options. You can share content, you can share, and I don't know that I can share how I'm doing it because I only have one screen today, but you can share content only, which is what most people do. I share content as my background. I used to do this in OBS because I don't have a green screen. So that's another way that I do it for free. When you see me in class and there's things floating around me, I'm using OBS actually or Prezi. You can also do this is over the shoulder, and then this is side by side. So in the Zoom Pro feature, when you're sharing and right above where it would say share sound, if you don't have these options, then you wouldn't have that upgraded Pro feature. But yeah, this is a Pro feature in the share options.
Oh, thank you. I had actually incorrectly said it was from the Stream Alive app, but that's incorrect.
Yeah.
It's when
Yeah.
you're
So if you have
sharing. Mhm.
Zoom, yeah, I can do it through Stream Alive too, but if you have Zoom, they can do all of the things that I just did.
Great. Thank you. All
Mhm.
right, everybody. So glad that you could join us today. I have just a couple of closing thank yous and welcome. So, of course, thank you so much, Karen. What a wonderful, engaging, lively uh, presentation. So much information. I learned a lot. I will be posting the slides and the video of this presentation on our website as soon as I can. I will send the link to you as soon as it's available. You're going to get it actually faster than the rest of your colleagues. We do post it on the PD workshop page of our website. Workshops number 1 and 2 are already on that page, so please go ahead and check it out. I'll send the link to you. I will also send the resource pack that Karen was using, so you will be able to copy and paste her prompts. So I will send that right away because I know you're probably all excited to get working this weekend before the semester starts. And I will be sending a short survey after this workshop. So I would love for you to spend maybe 2 to 3 minutes giving us your feedback on the workshop. We are developing workshop number 4, and so it would be really helpful to better understand what you want to learn more about. And then finally, I sent an email yesterday that you probably have seen announcing many opportunities we have coming up for faculty this spring, including a continuation of this professional development workshop series. I just want to alert you that our spring fellowship cycle is open. If you're interested in attending grad school for a master's degree, a doctorate, or you just need 18 credits in order to teach in another discipline, we do have a fellowship just for you as faculty members. So please go ahead and check our website out. And then finally, I want to call attention that we do have the proposal to present open for our upcoming 2026 TCU faculty convening. That is an annual convening. It's our 12th one this year. It will be the May 19th and 20th here in Denver, and we are looking for presenters. We only accept presentations from faculty. So this is your opportunity to share what you know, share your best practices, share your research, your evaluation, your lessons learned. So please submit a proposal to present by February 6th. And then finally, AHEC does have an AI working group, and Shelley Knight, I think she's still on the call here. She just waved. She is leading that initiative. They meet monthly. And so feel free to, I'm going to put her information in the chat. Feel free to reach out to her if you want to get more information about the AHEC AI initiative and to connect with her. So thank you all so much for joining us today. We hope to see you at workshop number 4. And if there's anything that we at the College Fund can do to support you as you kick off your spring semester or you're in the middle of your winter term, please reach out to me or my colleague, RJ Morin. He's not on the call right now, but I think you are all familiar with his email address. Reach out to us and we will do what we can to support you. So again, thank you so much for sticking around, and we hope you have a great weekend. Thanks, everybody.